YouTube's live.
What's going on, YouTube? All the outlaws out there, man. What's happening, YouTube? Welcome to the People's Network. We're coming to you once again, live and direct on a Saturday night. What's happening? We're just waiting for the YouTube outlaws to join us here at the Chocolate City Studios, y'all. So, what's going on? Hope y'all had a good week. We're gonna do the weekend rundown, like we usually do on Saturday night. So, y'all welcome all aboard. Y'all
Facebook
tell us something
Live.
good. All right, get in the chat room if you can. What's going on Facebook? All the outlaws out there, the People's Network presents Outlaw Radio. Look, turn your devices up. Make sure the volume is on. It is the Nubian phenomenon. I am Brother Talk to Teach, Listen to Learn, your truth transfer engineer. Awesome to most, asshole to many. Let me do that again. Awesome to most, asshole to many. You heard it before. Welcome, y'all. Come on in. Pour yourself on something, man. We're going to talk about what's going on from a 414 perspective. We're going to revisit the week, some of the important happenings and whatnot. This is, however, solution-based radio. So what we're going to do is when we finish identifying the problem, we certainly welcome you to join on in, and share your perspective with us, exchange ideas, because ultimately what we want to do is come up with some solutions. We want to make this thing work. We want to make it better. We want to help the people. We start on Wednesday nights with the Warrior Report, and we start talking about how we can get healthy from the inside out. You know, a lot of people worry about the outside of the cup, but you need to clean the inside too, brothers and sisters. So what's good? What's going on, brother? Tell me something good, man.
The People's Network presents Outlaw Radio on a Saturday night, man. You know how we do it. We like to close the week out.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody who's watching the show. Hit like, hit share, hit follow. Share the live. Let people know Outlaw Radio is on. It's your boy.
That's right.
The world-class smartass is in the building. The mayor of Chocolate, the militant with a microphone, the mouthpiece of the movement, a.k.a. the Negro Whisperer.
Hey.
And we do Outlaw Radio because we think black men need a platform, and we think black people in general, people of color, need a platform.
Mm-hmm.
So we provide that in which you can say whatever you want to say, whatever you'd like to contribute to the conversation is always welcome.
Right.
I am, like I said, Kevin Barnes. Shout out to my brother, Kamar Carter. I think he had Vegan Fest today, so
What's
I know he's running and gunning.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Shout out to the homie.
The holistic hero.
Yeah. So we support black business. If you have a black business that you'd like to promote, please let us know. We would love to promote it here on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Teamwork makes the dream work, man. So if you got something you're doing, and especially if it's positive, you can bring that to what we do, and we'll promote it to the best of our ability.
Real talk.
But it's Outlaw Radio, man, the weekend rundown, man. Like, we just closed this week out because at the end of the day, you have to be able to move on, right? Like, so you can go through the week and be perturbed about something, but you have to really exercise how you feel and your right to speak on it,
mm-hmm.
and then you can move on from it. So usually on Saturday nights, we get us some beverages.
Yes, we do.
Beverage,
hey,
right? And we toss it up, right? Like you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm. I use a straw. I'm funny like that.
Right. You particular type of Negro. But it is what it is, man. We're gonna talk about everything that happened this week. Shout out to the little sister who lost her life via some crazy traffic activity here in this country. What's going on right now is that we have a problem in Milwaukee in which there's this derelict behavior. There's this situation where people are doing any and everything. So you see, and it's a young brother driving a car who runs rampant and runs a little baby girl over, and she loses her life in the midst of madness. So I want to say condolences to her family, and I want to let people know, man, we got to do better. We as black people of color, we have to do better.
Real talk.
We got to do better.
Yeah, that was some dumb nigga behavior.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Bad. You know what I mean? I say all the time, all of them ain't us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we have black people, and then we have niggas.
Right.
And those that child lost her life, and the other ones got injured because of some dumb nigga behavior. And we need to do something about that.
Yeah, there has to be something. There has to be more than just a rally. It has to be more than just. Should already be. I instantly, I thought I put you in there from the start. I thought I tagged you. But yeah, man, hit like, hit share, hit follow. We get a lot of love. from people who watch the show. I got family everywhere. I have people who support the truth, and the truth is what they don't tell us. Like, you don't mass produce the truth. It's not something that you get every day. Usually, everything you get is slanted because we live in a capitalistic society in which most of what everybody's trying to do is sell you something.
Yeah, for real.
Right. So they'll put their own facts with it and try to sell you with it to give you what they call consumer confidence. But we don't do that here on this show.
No.
Whether it makes you feel good, bad, happy, sad, it is what it is. You just got to get it out so we can move on.
Listen, your feelings is just that. It's just how you feel.
Right.
And guess what? You're going to feel different tomorrow.
Well, it's called self-esteem.
You'll be all right. You know
Right,
what I mean? Right. Especially if it's the truth. We can't do nothing about how the truth make you feel.
Yeah. And we know we always talk about a pronounced agenda against masculinity and black masculinity in this country. And like one of the biggest things, I don't know, I'm an internet cat. Like I'm always online watching these social networks, what have you, just because I believe that's a more pure stream of information right now.
Right.
This is a generation that's revolutionized by the ability to write your own narrative.
Hello.
You understand? So I
Absolutely.
pay attention to it, right? So the big thing this week was Tank.
Now
there's some legislative things. We know Elijah Cummings died last week, and to some people, Obama speaking at his funeral services or whatever. Go get my iPad. Go get my iPad for me. It's on the kitchen table. Talking to my son, y'all.
He is.
Right. I'm talking literally. I'm talking to my son. So no. This thing with you can suck, you can have oral sex with a man, like, that was like the biggest, aside from the legislative things that happened this week, and we're going to talk about those as well. But the big deal this week was Tank talking about you can suck a man's penis twice, and it does not necessarily mean that you're gay.
Now, we talk about news and pertinent things here, but something like that, when it comes from a person, on that level with that many followers and people of interest, says something like that, it does affect us as a people, as a community. You know what I mean? It affects our young people who follow and idolize and star worship. You know what I mean? And again, it's just him lending his hand and his credibility to the homosexual agenda.
Well, I worry about the messages that we're giving our young men.
No, absolutely.
Our young brothers, like, we have to, if you're a man with a son, and please, if you have a daughter and you don't have a son, that's fine too. But I'm saying as a father of a young black male, I don't want this message to be convoluted in terms of who and what you are and who you need to be.
Even if you do have a daughter, at some point or another, you want your daughter to be with a man that's going to treat her right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's going to open the door, and pull out the chair and treat her like a princess or the queen that she is. Right.
Right. Well, I would hope.
Yeah. So even if you have daughters, like, you still got a dog in the fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So get right.
No doubt, man. It's Outlaw Radio. Y'all can say what y'all want to say. Please join in the conversation.
Come on in.
As
Brother Bull was saying.
And we worked that out like the other night where we really just went in on Tank and we talked about come on, man, we talking about sucking on penises. Like, this is a conversation that a real man is not, like, that's not even in the conversation. The brother who brings that up can't kick it no more.
Not with us. Can I kick it?
No, you can't. No, you can't. You come over here and bring that shit up. And then he went on the Breakfast Club and he had this, he talked about it and he justified it and he tried to explain it. Well, he just made it worse for himself, first of all. But then it was like, well, I didn't mean it like that, and I'm not gay, and I don't do this, and I don't do that. I don't, even if you're not gay, then I think you owe a certain debt to brothers who are heterosexual. Like, I always like to big up the heterosexual male on our show. Because I think the heterosexual male is key to our survival.
Absolutely.
You did?
Yeah.
Like, because if you can't reproduce, what are you going to do?
Well, we under attack by so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Whether we in prison, whether we on drugs, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We they got us with the child support. Like, they eliminating us in so many different ways. It then came out now that, one of the major reasons of black men, young black men dying with, I think number 6 was being killed by police, right? So I'm just saying, they got us in all these different ways. So the available black men that we do have that didn't choose white women, right? And, you know what I'm saying? And if you're choosing homosexuality, I mean, it gets pretty slim. So when you start hearing the sister saying it's a good black man is hard to find, I mean, if you start doing the math, they might have a point.
Well, I'm feeling sorry. I'm feeling sorry for sisters because if your choice is a man who done sucked penis before to figure out whether or not he was gay, hey, it's a
Well,
problem.
trust me, he's not leading with that information.
Well,
That's something she done found out, by going through his phone or something. No nigga is calling that his good foot and putting it forward, right?
and I said on the show last
Even Tank.
Thursday, Milwaukee had to take that L because Tank has an affiliation with Milwaukee.
And I didn't know that.
Right, yeah. He's actually,
I thought that was unfair.
Supposedly reared his head here.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever's behind that.
Interesting choice of words there. You nasty.
Yeah, I mean, right.
He reared his head here.
Right.
Stop.
It's hard out here.
I heard.
Right. Once you start sucking penis, there's no safe conversation, man.
So it's like a tattoo.
Like you can't even say I got a long way to go. It's like, no, you do. Stop it, man. Let's not compromise. Shout out to Brother Tank, Larry Perdue. He said, dude name is Darrell. He can't rock my nickname anymore, Buster.
That's what's up,
414 speaks.
Hey, yeah.
414 speaks.
Real talk.
So yeah, man, we're going to run this week down, man, and talk about all the stuff that happened. And look, I don't try to reinvent the wheel on this show because I don't pretend to tell you anything you don't already know.
Right.
And if you do stumble up on some information that you did not understand, please research it further.
And listen,
don't take my word.
No, but take some time. Join the People's News Network.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the topics that we have, a lot of the things that we discuss on the show, you can find there.
Come straight from the group.
Yeah, and you can go and find the actual factuals and the particulars.
Group's popping too, up to 700 some members.
Right. And then again, from a little different perspective, if you've ever been called a conspiracy theorist, right? Go check out the Talk to Teach, Listen to Learn page as well.
Right, and it has so much, like he said, man, that's real.
Right, yeah.
Cause this brother right here be on some shit. Like you can't even eat a French fry around him. He gonna fuck your whole day up. Oh, brother, you know where that comes from? Yeah, potato, mama.
Yeah, well, it's different.
You know what? Potato in Latin for potato, which meant captivity, brother. You don't even eat right.
You wild, man.
According to him, your life is all bullshit.
Oh, come on, man. All of it is until we find out. You know what I'm saying? And then the smarter we get, the more we find out how much we really don't know anyway.
Well, the main thing is that we as a people should understand. If we don't understand, we should by now that we have been misled in the United States of America.
Oh, yeah.
People of color have been misled. Like if you grew up in this country, especially like myself, I grew up in a very pivotal decade, which was the 1980s. And a lot of truth was revealed in the 1980s.
Come on,
and then I extended it. I became a man in the 90s, right? So those two decades, those together kind of gave you everything you need to know in terms of information, how to acquire it. They gave it to you.
Right.
So you should not be confused. You should accept the fact that, listen, you might have some very nice people that you work with. You might have met a white girl who's A1 top notch. It's so good. The alabaster super cunt, as Iceberg Slim called it.
Slit, huh?
Well, black man's kryptonite, right? You may have gotten that. Maybe a white liberal has shown you some mercy. And that's fine. And you can say, well, all white people ain't bad. I totally get that.
I would agree.
Because the 100% rule is in effect. And that means there's nothing in this world that's 100% true.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Right.
But let's talk about the majority.
Well,
let's talk about the precedents.
Right.
Let's talk about the history of it. Let's talk about the fact that no black person can tell me, even right now, as smart as my people are, and I love them for that, none of you can tell me where we teamed up with them and it worked out for us.
Ever.
Just tell me which
ever. Now don't give me some example because you and you know what I'm saying.
No, not you and Paul.
You and Chad.
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? No. We talking about as a people, as a group of people. When have we ever adhered to any of their treaties or any of their amendments, right? And it ever actually ultimately worked out in our favor.
Well, you made up a constitution, but when you wrote it, we were enslaved.
3/5 of a man.
You wrote in 1964 a civil rights bill, but we were still getting lynched at the time when you said it. Jim Crow was still at his peak.
Come on now.
Okay, You wrote a crime bill in '94, dollar bill, Bill Clinton, which was supposed to repair the black community due to the scourge of the crack epidemic. Did that even work out for us? Because we went to them and said we need some help.
Right.
Black people went to them and said this is how. Even for us, we don't care who get locked up. But we didn't understand that the long-range ramifications were mass incarceration, school to prison pipeline, and even then the court system was disproportionate, but it just got more disproportionate after that.
Absolutely. So what you ultimately ended up doing was taking generations, right, and taking the fathers out of their homes,
right,
and and really waging war against the black family, even on another level than you already was doing. You know what I'm saying? So once again, it still worked out with us getting, the high hard at the end of the day.
Right. So there's no need to be mad. Like, you don't have to ride around talking about Whitey is the devil or whatever it is, or you don't have to be slanted. You don't have to invest in rhetoric. You just got to quote the actual factuals.
Right.
So when a white person says, Kev, you always pull the race card. Why is it? Why is it? Why is it? And I'll say, well, let's talk about history, since you all love to reference it so much.
Oh, yeah. It's because it's his story.
Let's talk about the moves your people have made against my people.
They won't even acknowledge that.
Well,
right. They don't acknowledge the Renaissance era. They don't acknowledge changing our history, whitewashing the pictures, writing our people out of history, our inventors out of history. Even when they talk about, even the slaves, right? They give us that and they act like that's where we began. The beginning of our history is slaves. And so I'm sure this winter we'll have one or two more slave movies coming out. We got the Harriet Tubman. And
I want to ask you about the Harriet movie.
And it's hard, right? Because you want to honor Harriet Tubman. You know what I'm saying? You really do. She did a wonderful, magnificent thing. And I think that our people need to be shown and told about how we did fight back. But on the other hand, there's a side of me that says enough with the slave movies. Until you show us in Egypt as kings and queens and rulers, until you acknowledge that all your Greek information and all came from us, and how we had to civilize you. Enough with the slave movies.
What if we do Adam Clayton Powell? What if we do George Washington Carver? What if we do Elijah Otis?
What if we do Elijah Muhammad?
What if we do Elijah Muhammad?
You know what I'm saying?
What if we do Farrakhan? We did Bobby Brown movie while he was still alive.
Come on, man.
Okay?
Yeah.
So instead of showing me over and over that, hey, and then it's always the same dramatic, over-dramatized bullshit.
Yeah.
Now let me explain something to you about the Harriet Tubman thing.
Come on.
And I don't want to take that stand.
It's hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're torn.
Well, I want to give you, first of all, the sister that they got playing Harriet is from Europe. She's from England.
Well, they don't like to cast the American blacks in any type of positive. Right.
So that's one thing.
Right.
And then the next thing is that if you think about the work that Harriet was doing, and this comes from, and I can't remember who put this post up there, somebody, I think it was Ram Muhammad.
Okay, Ram,
I think it was Rick Muhammad. He put it up and he said, well, what did she do? Well, she actually worked covert as a spy for the Union.
Okay.
And one of her missions via the government was supposed to be that she's going to get blacks to fight on our side so we can win this war. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of the people who she supposedly rescued or went to speak to, she spread the Union message.
Right.
It wasn't one of black empowerment. It wasn't one of, let's leave slavery and build ourselves up. It was like, no, I'm going to take y'all up north where y'all straight at. And then we come to find out later on that we wasn't straight even up north.
No, but I'm sure there was a difference, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not trying, right? Hate is still hate. You know what I'm saying? Whether they shake your hand and stab you in the chest, or call you brother and stab you in the back, you still stab.
Yeah, right.
But we even now, man, when they even tell us about the lynchings and whatnot, they make it seem so arbitrary. Like they just seen blacks as, hey, let's lynch that nigger, let's lynch. No, let me tell you what was happening. There was a system. They were lynching business owners. They were lynching competition. They were lynching blacks that could read and that were educated. You see what I'm saying? And so again, we get a lot of stuff that's left out, and they just give us the bare bones. And sometimes it's a blatant untruth.
Their justice system wasn't even working for them because they had a lynch mob mentality. Now, white women who are right now in control of everything, they got their rights. Actually, a white woman was subjugated as well. What she did have was the power to get her some black penis and lie and get him hanged.
Right.
Because there was no due process.
Not at all. But what upsets me though is when they had the ability to have black women join their plight, and you have black women now fighting against black men, and black men wasn't oppressing you. Black men wasn't determining how much money you made, or whether or not you got a job, or whether or not you could vote. The black man had absolutely nothing to do with that. And sisters, that wasn't your fight, and it still ain't your fight. Black men ain't oppressing you.
No, black men are not, and sisters ain't oppressing us either. Right?
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you about my girl.
I would say, hey, with a couch, I'll lay down and talk to you about this. No. I wouldn't
charge by the hour.
I would. You charge by the hour with a lot of stuff. Listen, I wouldn't.
He used to call me a whore.
I did not.
Might as well.
But no, it upsets me about some black women who don't see why they got that promotion. Right. They don't see why they are supervisor, why they and the black men get fired. They the last to get hired, first to get fired. And they some of the black women think that it's because of how great they are and how smart they are. But I'm gonna just tell you, Master don't mind seeing you walk around the office with your booty shaking, right? You know what I'm saying? He will get rid of Tyrone in a heartbeat and keep you around.
Well, you know, now you saying it's more about your booty than your duty.
Well,
and I don't want to put that on sisters either. I want to say they earned their position via their merit.
Listen, they had to do more than meet the requirements to get that position.
Okay,
but that don't mean that's why you got that position.
Well, I always in the most ghettoest, the most ghettoest way I could probably express this is this: when I look at American society and I look at how it functions. There's two ultimate realities when it comes to black people, right? In terms of a white guy. And I think he has to adhere to this as well. A sister might fuck you. She might.
Let me tell you.
She might like you.
She will.
I mean, as a white dude.
Yeah, she will.
A sister.
If you climbing that corporate ladder, yes.
A sister will fuck you.
Come on.
A real black man will fuck you up. Like, he'll lose everything and he'll go to prison. It's happened a million times. And that is the inherent threat that we pose when we show up and we are unapologetically black. We're unapologetically masculine. See, I don't feel the need to, like, I understand code switching, but I think one of the things about code switching is this. If you're consistent, you win anyways. I don't necessarily have to code switch because I'm consistent in how I just talk to people. So I don't have to over-articulate when I'm with a white person because I articulate myself when I'm talking to a black person.
But it's not about how you say it. And I think I'm building on adding to your point. It's what you say, right? So listen, I can say, fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you speak Spanish, you don't understand English, and I'd say in Spanish, I still said fuck you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm telling you how oppressive you are, and I'm telling you about your white privilege, I can talk with a British accent. If I don't change my message, you see what I'm saying? I'm still telling you what I'm telling you.
Right. So I mean, it's just about free speech, man. You have to respect everybody's right to have an opinion. I'm not riding on somebody because they don't agree with us or because they don't want to come on the show.
But please tell us why. Let's exchange ideas. Let's build. Anything anybody has to say is all based on their past experiences and their understanding, right? And sometimes when we sit at opposite ends of the table and I see the 6 and you see the 9, sometimes it's just a matter of perspective. If we change seats, you would see what I see and I would see what you see.
Right, hopefully.
And we both right.
If not, just go home. It's not that serious. Like, you don't have to plot on this brother.
Let me tell you, that should be the last thing you should be doing is plotting on this brother, because sometimes we have the same destination in mind. We just got different routes to get there. You know what I'm saying? I'll meet you at the finish line, brother.
So right now what it is Barrett is blaming Senator Lena Taylor.
We must be getting close to election time.
Yeah, it's almost 2020.
Yeah, we starting to finger point. Oh, the mudslinging is coming.
Oh yeah,
come on.
Yeah, so if you got dirt in your closet, you know it's coming out. It's about to be election season. Politics is dirty. It's hard, but it's fair.
The winner is the best life.
Well, I'm finding it hard to believe that he's going to Lena when Khalif was the one who came with it and then backtrack based on what the people in the community said. I think Khalif set a very serious precedent. Like I don't know how many political accomplishments Khalif actually has.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not on this campaign, and nobody wrote me no check. But I think
they definitely ain't writing no check
for an elected official to at first champion something that's consumer, as far as consumers and big business goes, it is good, but it does not necessarily serve the best interest of the people long term. I think for him to backtrack and say, "Hey, man, the people who I asked to vote for me, they don't want this shit, so I'm off of it." But so Barrett now is going at Lena saying it's her fault. She's saying it's hers. I mean, she's saying it's his. I don't know. And it really doesn't matter to me anyway.
From the mouth of a liar, even the truth is in question.
Okay.
And so when we start talking politics, you start talking these politicians. Well, at the end of the day, what we're trying to figure out is who's the best liar, because that's going to be the winner. The one who lied the best and can get the most money, people to give him her money, for their campaign, whatever. Because let me tell you that's really all a game at this point.
Right.
They really don't need money to travel. We have the internet.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that any law that's 100 years or sound check. Yeah, any law that's 100 years or better ought to be revisited, because some of them don't apply anymore. You know what I'm saying? The electoral college and those sorts of things. So some of that stuff is outdated, and it works in their favor because we constantly find ourselves electing rich people to take care of poor people problems.
And you know what's funny? People wouldn't even believe me. I was contacted this week by the Republican Party.
Again?
By the Grand Old Party. No, this time I was contacted by the chairman of the Black Republicans of Milwaukee.
Wow, I would have liked to hear that conversation.
Very smooth conversation.
Oh man, I would have liked to hear that. What happened?
Well,
you're a Republican now?
The question became from him was, shout out to him for peeping that we actually believe in Black people getting to say what they want to say.
Okay.
I always say this: I don't have to agree with you to bring you on my show.
No,
and I'm not going to go at you and cut your throat when you come on my show. You'll be a guest. You'll be in the Chocolate City Studios in beautiful Northwest Milwaukee, which is a blessed thing, right?
Yeah. Yes. Sir.
And you can come in here, but I did lay some parameters in saying we don't do cooning. We don't entertain any ideology that's counterproductive to the people.
Right.
We don't do that. If you come on here talking about you love Trump, you're going to get chewed up and ate up by my co-host, because Black people, we have our issues, but I've said it a million times. There are a lot of Black Trump supporters.
There are too many.
Yes.
One is too many.
Well, yeah. So we've said any Trump supporter that's Black, speak up. And so I'm actually going to bring some conservative Black people into the
I just want y'all to know this is how this works. This is the first I've heard of it, right? There are times I've actually come in the show and walked in like, damn, who is this? You know what I'm saying? To make sure, okay, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But so sometimes we don't know. So I appreciate you letting me know ahead of time instead of the dude just sitting already. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they be in my seat, man. That's
when you got to move his conservative ass. Like, get your Republican ass up.
Well, then we fighting before the show even starts.
Well, no, I'm gonna break it up.
Dennis, what's wrong with brother?
Make his ass sit over here and shit. I ain't be sitting on a little ass stool. Like.
No, but listen, here's the thing: we're not gonna eat your lunch for believing what you believe. You got the right to be wrong. But what we do need to say is like you need to come and be prepared to tell us why.
Right. If you love Trump,
explain your position.
A jury of your peers is what this actually is. Like, if you want to come on our show, you got to understand we represent the people that they talk about but don't talk to, and I'm proud to do that. Now, it keeps me away from wholesale success. I'm not going pop no time soon.
Yeah.
But I'd rather invest in this than anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I want the people who think they don't have an opinion, who think their votes don't count, or they don't care about politics, or whatever it is, whatever your hang up is, whatever have you. I represent for those people, because those are everyday people.
Real talk.
Those are not the talented 10th, as the Black Boule says.
Okay.
Right? So I would rather just represent that than and believe me, just putting what I believe on this show would do you all a disservice as well.
I get that. It makes sense. I appreciate you being open enough to have somebody else on the show, right? And again, because it's about the exchanging of ideas, the exchanging of perspectives amongst us,
and we're gonna write our own narrative.
But listen, some of us
on some bullshit
is wrong, right? Some of us is on some bullshit. Some of us believe some lies. Some of us will have a willful ignorance. That means we'll hear the truth and it don't coincide with how we feel or what we want to do or our agenda, and so we refuse it. But don't make it not the truth. So if you're gonna come and just say, you know what, I don't like that. I've heard black people say, you know what, I'm a Republican. Republicans look after rich people, and I'm rich, so I'm a Republican. Charles Barkley, right? I get that. It makes sense, you selfish bastard, but I still get it.
You one mistake on your taxes away from working a 9 to 5, bro.
Hey,
you don't understand that. There's a 1% that controls this country, and I don't believe there's any blacks in that 1%. You can celebrate Oprah and Tyler Perry and Bob Johnson and all Jordan and all these. But see, the 1% is not billionaires; they're trillionaires.
Hello,
it's a level that
they print the money.
Right. Those are the people who they make the plates that they use to print the money.
Hello, I'm gonna agree with you.
They're not.
But this 1%.
Shout out to Opie. And I never
Opie Cunningham. Right. But the 1% that we're talking about, who's controlling everything, guess what? They're all white. Let me say that again. We're not saying all white people are bad, but the ones who are bad and who are running shit and making decisions are all white.
Right.
So those are the people that we're talking about. There are some magnificent white people. It just don't happen to be none of the 1%.
Well, now then we talk about our county where we have a Office of African American Affairs, and with their first, well, aside from the community restoration centers, which that's a different conversation.
Come on,
but
we got time.
They wanted to do training. They wanted to do racial sensitivity training, and they wanted to teach social justice amongst their staff. So they tasked the Office of African American Affairs to train the city workers and the county workers. The county workers in every department on why they need to embrace diversity and this kind of thing. But I'm like, how can you do a training when you don't change your hiring practices? Because let's be honest, a 40%, 60% minority city is still governed by an overwhelmingly white majority when it comes to leadership positions, all the way down administratively. Your job where you work at, I don't give a damn what you're doing. There's a white person who don't got nothing to do with the city, don't give a shit about the people, and could care less whether Milwaukee sinks or swims. They are white, and they don't. The name of your job could be Black People Incorporated. There's a Miss Marie. She's a fucking HR specialist. She's white.
And I was just saying, some of the people that they put in place to look after us, right? So I'm sure you've seen the post about this what was she, Latino woman that said that she was going to sick the KKK on a bartender or something. He was black, but her job was why she was an investigator for us.
Right.
Like she is supposed to look into black affairs, and she was supposed to be fighting for us. So I'm just saying, a lot of people they put in position to fight for us still ain't for us. They working for the system. When you talk about NAACP, that wasn't started by a group of black people.
Well, there was a black person on
the Jewish board who started the thing. Sometimes the best way to control the revolution is to be part of it. You see what I'm saying? So that's how they infiltrate. And yes, this is the conspiracy theorist portion of the show.
Well, there's also, when we talk about the week that just was, there was also a situation where we talk about conspiracies and we talk about the federal government trying to sabotage any movement that benefits people of color.
Now, why?
Well, because those agendas don't match up. If the order of the day is to keep these people subjugated and you want to liberate these people, then we are at odds.
And again, we have to ask ourselves why. Why do they want to keep us subjugated? Why is it so important for them to not have any black people control their image, their narrative? They don't want you to own a radio station. They don't want you to own a network. They will ask Bill Cosby what's going on with that. You know what I mean?
They don't want you to drop quaaludes on white women either.
Well, listen, but they drop a whole lot of word shit on the black women. And not even the black women, but the black men too. right? Look on television. Let me ask you this, because I don't watch a lot of TV, right? But I turned on the boob tube a little. Have you noticed certain things that stood out to me right away? Now, one thing was the gay agenda, right? The mass homosexuality and the war against black masculinity. But another thing I noticed is I shouldn't say no. I don't want to talk in absolutes because somebody will find an example of a black person.
Blow your shit up.
Yeah, but you don't find many dark-skinned black people on television. Not in any lead role. I'm not talking about they was in background and part of the crowd.
Still in 2019,
you can't find not many dark-skinned people, black people in lead roles. Another thing is you see an overwhelming amount of interracial relationships. But guess what about the interracial relationships? It's usually, tell me if I'm wrong, pay attention, a white man and a black woman.
Yeah.
Right. They very seldom show you in depth of any black man with a white woman, especially if he's a dark-skinned man. Mm-hmm. Another thing I've noticed about watching television is 80% of the heroes, of the good guys that they give you on television, are either cops, ex-cops, military, or ex-military, and now they're starting to squirt a few first responders up in there, right?
Right.
But this is propaganda.
But even on those shows, the black women are lesbians.
Yes.
And the strong black women are with white dudes.
Let's pay attention.
And the star of the show is blonde haired and blue eyed.
Come on,
it's
man.
The same agenda.
So I'm not retarded. Like, I'm actually seeing
No, you're retarded, but you're right about that. No, you on SSI, but you're right about that.
Hey, this is Outlaw Radio. Saturday night, weekend rundown.
Right,
if you just joined us, we here, you know what I'm saying?
Hit like, hit share, hit follow, man.
Do that. Shout out to a lot of people, man. Dante Chestnut, we you know what I'm saying? Shout out, brother. We missed you. We ain't said nothing to you in a couple weeks. Man, I hope all is well down there. Brother Tough, man, and the Sound Silhouette. Man, hoping everything is well on your end, brother. We got 3041 North, a 5-star facility, man. We got a lot of love, man. The family's growing. We got some things planned. I'm trying to be patient, man. But that's what's up tonight. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Have a good time. I know you're going somewhere. Please go out and boogie, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The weekend rundown, like, bust it. Bust your shit. Like,
don't bust your shit.
No, bust your shit. Like, I don't think we can downplay, orgasm is.
Oh, damn. The show went left right now. Go ahead.
No, orgasm is explosive. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And, that's why people love to have an orgasm so much. Because an orgasm.
This is why we need a female host.
Well, it's euphoric, and then it's a physical release as well, at least for a man. And I know now, I don't know, allegedly for women it is too. But I'm saying for a man, it's just like, the pressure, that's why kids are made.
Yeah. It's magic.
Right.
It's something extraordinary, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this is where sometimes you leave me and we separate when I say shit like this. But I'm gonna tell you to go look, investigate, study, research sex magic.
Okay.
Right? Because there is an energy, there is a vibration that's put forth. You just talked about how
I was the one who brought up busting that.
Right? So I'm just saying there is some things that I've learned about sex magic.
Yeah.
Look into it.
It's the reason why it drives people crazy.
The most basic things, right? Look at the phallic symbols that are built around the world.
Okay.
Dicks.
Right.
They're dicks.
You
right?
sound like Tank. Go ahead.
I know.
I don't want to look at dicks from around the world.
The phallic symbols, they're monuments, they're buildings, they're millions and millions of dollar monuments. We got one in Washington. Right. It's a phallic symbol.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So there's that. When you start talking about different symbols, what is this? Remember they showed you this was evil and this was this major thing that you're supposed to, right? This here, the triangle.
I thought that was Rockefeller and Jay-Z.
Okay, is that what it is?
I don't know.
You know what this derives from?
What
I'm going out on a limb. Y'all can come on out and blast me and say I don't know what it is, but look it up first before you do. This is you ever get something from the back? I had to spread it open, brother.
I don't want
I'm talking of a female.
I don't want to incriminate myself.
Well, I'm just saying, back when you was way young, before you got righteous and shit. Just this means this is. I mean, it all falls back to how great, how powerful that slit is. You know what I'm saying? So look into it. Just somebody tell me if you think I'm crazy.
Well, I'm just saying I meant to reference it in the fact that I feel like our show is just like at the end of the week is just like a good nut. Like you just bust. You know what I'm saying?
See, we definitely need some estrogen on the show.
No, I mean because we get it out. Because one thing that has to happen after the orgasm, somebody either got to leave or they get to stay.
Well,
like the decision is already made.
If you can cook, right, it gives you some leeway.
Once again, with society.
Yeah. This is me personally.
Microcosm. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, okay, well, you know, the best thing that could ever happen between us has happened. How you gonna follow this up? So
a meal.
I'm not trying to be nasty.
No, go make a sandwich.
But I'm referencing doing Outlaw Radio as a release because what I do is I just get to get all of this off my chest. I can move through next week. Like I'm going into Monday prepared for life. I'm not going into Monday looking back at last Monday.
So I would explain what you just said, and I would include the word therapeutic.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Therapeutic nuts.
In addition to, I guess, the nuts. But I would think this is more of therapy. Because let me tell you, we've missed a couple shows, and I've had to wait till that following week. And by the time we do get back, it is like, damn, it's like we ain't did this shit in a long time.
I know.
Real talk.
So you ever had a therapy? You ever bust therapeutically? Have you ever skied it and said that was therapeutic? like I'm not trying to.
You have to ask the other party. I don't remember what I said, right? You know what I'm saying? Especially if I drank a lot.
I'm saying, have you ever woke up the next day like I feel so much better now? I can go on with my life. Like I had to get that out last night. And another dude couldn't do it. It took a woman to come. It took a female as a male. Let's talk turkey.
And the women in the chat room, I need for y'all to talk to us about
sisters. I mean, even sisters can say, I know sisters. Have you ever woke up the next day and say, you know what? I tried everything. But I did yoga. I went vegan. I ain't ate no pork. I ain't no candy. I meditated. I burned sage.
Woo!
But I needed my box beat up.
Yeah, women, tell us about that.
Right, have you ever woke up and said, shit, I'm good now? You at work the next day, everything good. No, I know I already did that.
She got a smile on her face, and she usually
what happened, girl? Girl, I don't know.
No, listen, that there is a portion of that that's absolutely 100%. You're absolutely right. It does happen. There's something that a woman can do for a man that no other man can do. Something that a man can do for a woman that no other woman can do. I don't care what she bought, and I don't care how big it is. It's hung, but it don't hang. You know what I'm saying? It's swung, but it don't swing. Goddamn.
Well, one time I got in an argument with a lesbian, a butch lesbian.
Again,
yeah, it was just one time. I'm only telling you, don't be telling people I do this all the time. I was talking to her in a bar, and she was just like, you know, this and this and that. And if I can go in, and you know, I can satisfy her because I can go into this drawer and I can pull out 9, 12 inches. I say, you know, you can say that, but the difference between me and you is you strap on, I stick out.
Hey. There's a lost art going around with women, and I don't know how to not be nasty when I say this. So you know, this is a part of the show. If you need to,
it's dedicated to his wife.
I should leave, right? I should just go home.
No, stay by all means. It feels good to see somebody in trouble that's not named Kevin. So pop that shit.
I forgot what the fuck. No, there's a lost art for women, right? And listen, you can go in a drawer, do this. There is the ability for a woman to make a dick hard, right? Okay. So here's the thing: see, there are some women that think they can just show up with the equipment, and because they showed up, everything is good. Like they don't have to put in no work. You ain't gotta do nothing.
You got instant morning wood.
Right, because I'm here. You should listen. There's a lost art where you know that there's
being sexy.
Women who knows how to go about the process of producing an erection. Right, you know what I'm saying? So you know, some of y'all not so much.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm IJS.
You know, you get old enough to be nasty. That's the only reason you get old.
Yeah.
When you're young, you got to be safe because plenty of people care. When you old, nobody cares, so you can just be as nasty as you want. The nastiest people you know are old people.
Well, they know by then. You know what you want. You know what you want. You know what you don't like.
But you also know what everything is. The old man will tell you in a minute. Tell you what I put my tongue out, nigga. Hey, I just watched Dolomite. I just watched the Dolomite movie with Eddie Murphy.
Did you? What, you got a bootleg?
No, it's on Netflix now. It's out.
Really?
If you ain't seen it,
gotta go watch it.
Well, but don't go watch it unless you understand Dolomite and Rudy Ray Moore.
I am a little older than you, brother. I actually remember Dolomite.
Okay.
Not just the going back and I actually remember Dolomite. So yes,
when it was happening.
Yes.
But I wasn't. You're right. I was 1975 when he made the movie. I was fucking just born.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I did get early access to Dolomite via some of my older relatives and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
But being a grown man and I got Dolomite because I was a Kane fan and Kane had Dolomite on his album and. There was a lot of Dolomite.
Big Daddy Kane for y'all.
Yeah, Big Daddy Kane had.
They like the nigga did Kane too.
No, yeah, he was on Kane. He had a whole. It was a song where Dolomite. That's why I heard the Chew Up Railroad Ties and Shit Out Steel. I had seen the movies, but I didn't understand who Rudy Ray Moore actually was. And
so this movie was.
It was. Bomb, what? It was crazy because it's Eddie Murphy. And I'm from the generation where Eddie Murphy is always funny.
Come on, man.
No matter when you see him, he's always
hilarious.
Funny. But you forget that Eddie Murphy has dynamic range as an actor.
As an actor, as a singer, as a comedian, the dude, listen, he opened a lot of doors for these people that you like right now.
He did this movie. This movie, what it really gives you is Dolomite. It really gives you Rudy Ray Moore saying, I've tried everything I ever could do to make it, right? Mm-hmm. And then they get to this point where it was a couple times in the movies where he was fucked in the game. It was like, whatever. The main thing about him was the way the movie came off was Rudy Ray Moore was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to the people. I'm one of the people. I understand the people.
Count the money.
And instead of letting everybody else do it, I'm going to do it myself. So the truth is, the first Dolomite movie is complete garbage, cinematically, in terms of the way they taught you.
Listen, cinematically, all of them was garbage. Like, come on now.
Cinematically.
Nobody watched a Dolomite movie and was like, the acting impeccable.
No,
right?
It was horrible.
Stop it. Okay, right.
His karate he was in his 40s already.
The whole thing is comical and sometimes not intentionally. However, still comical.
But it starts a phenomena in our community where we say, you know what? It's cool for us to even celebrate the dysfunctional part of us. The cursing.
Yeah.
The being nasty, right?
To celebrate the opposite, the rhymes, right? The rhythm that we had.
It was the streets.
The creative.
It's what the people in the streets. And at that time, we were all in the streets.
Absolutely.
Except for a few.
Well, that's what they left us, right? We still had some house niggas that was in the house.
The craziest part is this is a $50,000-$60,000 movie that made over $10 million back then.
Stop. Can you imagine what $10 million was like
in the 70s?
Stop. Right, yeah.
You just said fuck Hollywood, you changed the game.
So what they do after that? Hollywood had to come get him. Right, it
didn't work though.
You can't get did it? Because we're talking about Dolomite, right? Like what 2 decades after the
Dolomite made 8 films between 1975 and 1980.
Yes, sir.
And the last one was some disco themed bullshit. And by then they had stepped in because it became corporate, and they had kind of exploited it. Like if you watch The Human Tornado and The Devil's Son-in-Law, like these kinds of movies are not what the first Dolomite was. The first Dolomite, like now. One of my favorite movies is Black Dynamite.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, if you watch Black Dynamite, it kind of gives you an understanding of Rudy. It shows you why Rudy Ray Moore is somebody that's great that we don't even give credit to.
Right.
Because blaxploitation films, you got to do a whole lot of research.
No, and that's my thing after that, because then it opened the doors for some other things. Like,
Well, it made us here. Now we can be our own hero.
I ended up liking Foxy Brown because of that. Jane Kennedy was
Penitentiary.
In the Penitentiary series
With
with Leon.
eight movies.
See what I'm saying? So it opened the doors. It made things a lot of things possible.
So you get Gary Coleman. Now the world don't move
to the beat of.
Now it's cool to have a little poor black person around. Which the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is that with a black family. Same principle.
LL had a sitcom.
In the house.
In the house. They all listen, we forget, man.
But pivotally, when you talk about the Cosby Show, which people give so much credit for being,
they should.
I thought it was corny.
It might have been.
It was.
But it might have been. But it showed you the first time you got to see a little black girl getting her hair done. And yeah, it was kinky.
Well, but they showed that in Claudine.
Maybe they did, but this isn't something that you saw every day on your weekly television series, right? Right. We didn't say he was the first.
I'm saying in terms of you get Cosby to show us, but see, my problem with the show is in the 80s, and you're in New York, and at the time New York had a crack epidemic, and Theo was a young black man who lived in Brooklyn. There's no way he wouldn't have been affected by it if it was realistic. So that was my first thing. I always thought it was corny.
I got you.
But I think the transition goes from you won't even let us be on a TV show to Diane Carroll to Claudine to Cooley High, and you get these pivotal movies.
Cooley High.
You get Superfly.
Make your children watch some of these movies.
Shaft, the first Shaft.
Yeah.
The first Shaft, which is the first feature movie that's backed by a major studio that shows a black man as the hero.
Right.
But at the same time, like he said, too blue for the brothers, too black for the police.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you get these cinematic magnum opuses, and I think that Dolomite is that, and it shows us that we adapted to in the 90s, and we put hip hop on the map.
The longest.
It ain't what you think it sounds like. It ain't what you think it looks like.
Because it ain't for you.
Right. It's for us.
All you.
Right.
Yeah. But again, the longest journey begins with one step. But sometimes it's about us taking that step.
Right.
And you know what? The first step don't look like the 50th. It don't look like the 1,000th. It definitely don't look like the last step. But none of those other steps are possible without the first step.
Yeah. So look, watch the movie, but don't think this is.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Don't think this is an Eddie Murphy movie where you're about to be laughing the whole movie because he's playing Rudy Ray Moore.
But does he embody the part, the way? Let me give you an example. The way Ray was done. The way what's the actor? Well, Jamie Foxx.
Now the difference between those two movies is that there was an uncanny resemblance between Jamie Foxx and young Ray Charles.
It wasn't until because to certain movies, when you get into what's love got to do with it. Like she didn't really look, but she embodied the part until you watched the movie and she became her until to the end where they actually showed Tina Turner. You had to be reminded, damn. Well, that's what Tina Turner looked like.
They show original Dolomite clips in this movie and you watch them and you say, Eddie Murphy don't look shit like Dolomite. But I think he bodied the part.
Then he embodied. That's what I was asking. Yes, sir.
Because it was just
Eddie can act.
It was it was just so good to see him act.
Yeah.
Because it's the first movie he ever did where he played somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
What? Huh?
And Mike, he never played a historical figure.
Okay, that's different from saying somebody else.
No, I mean somebody actually lived.
Yes, sir.
And Mike Epps is there, who deserves it.
Okay, Mike.
Craig Robinson's there, who deserves it.
Yeah.
There was some sisters there who deserved it. Wesley Snipes bodied it. Wesley, you got to do research. If you know who Darrell Martin was, Dervell Martin was, and he was in all those movies, and he was in a lot of movies. It's just you got to go Google him.
But listen, and shout out to Eddie.
Wesley did that.
Shout out to Eddie and a lot of the other, because let me tell you what's happening. They tried to blackball Wesley. Right. They you know
Ed brought him.
Right. So Ed good looking.
And Mike Epps.
Good and Mike Epps. Right. He don't get a lot of love from Hollywood,
no,
right?
No.
So shout out to some of the gatekeepers, right? Who let some brothers in the gate.
And both of these brothers is gonna be in Coming to America Part 2.
Right. So shout out to
Which Ed. I know Eddie's gonna be funny as hell.
But Ed don't get the credit. Like when you look at Coming to America 1, when we talk about black movies and so on and so forth,
Boomerang.
it was what Boomerang. It was one white person. Like so and so did the first all black. No, don't pass over Eddie.
Everybody in Boomerang had a college degree, and there was no white character.
Wait, tell me a movie before that you seen that shit.
It didn't happen.
Listen,
but if Dolomite doesn't do his movie, Ed doesn't get to do that.
So that's my point. So even how you call it black exploitation, so on and so forth, it was step one in the long journey.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
check that shit out, man. 3, right? Go watch it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, don't go watch it thinking it's gonna be Eddie Murphy in Raw Part 2. Ed's acting, and Ed does a very good job on just like Rudy Ray Moore's mentality of, you know what? I understand. I don't understand all the shit y'all understand in terms of demographics and schematics and numbers, but I've been with my people and I know my people and I know what they like and I know what they think is funny, and it just happens. So go watch that movie, man. It's a great movie, man. Right. It's on Netflix right now. I watched it this morning. I was like, dude, that was a good ass movie. You know what I'm saying? That was a movie. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna watch it over again, but I'm saying it was a good movie. Good. And I like Mike Epps because I think Mike Epps represents Midwest funny, which is a different beast. And so I'm always riding with Epps, man. And every time somebody give Mike Epps a job, I'll support him. So I don't care. But we got this issue too here with these schools, man. We talk about the school system. You know, right now I seen the superintendent of, it's the Woodland Conference for football and sports. Brown Deer High School, and we know Brown Deer is really the only suburb that has a really large presence of people of color. Some people can call it Black Deer, but Brown Deer High School, they have a black quarterback. Their football team, they play in this white conference where they go to play all these schools in the Woodland.
You want to win, don't you?
Conference, but there's just this assault of nigger this, nigger that stuff written on walls and people in the crowd yelling nigger, nigger, nigger. And the white superintendent of that district wrote a letter in which he talked about it's time for white people to stop. Y'all on some bullshit. It's time for us to stop. This shit is gone too far. Because she got this school with all these black kids, and if you live in Brown Deer, you're probably from a family that got some tools and fuels. They're a little bit more prominent. Like, we can get you off the north side and take you out here. This is supposed to be suburb living, supposed to be a step up. And that school right now, because it's been a white school for so long, is fortified. They got a lot of money. It's accountable. It's an accountable high school. And they have to go and play these games. And they got a black quarterback, and it gets called nigger, nigger, nigger. Let me tell you something. I went to Cudahy in 1993. I was on the first playoff team in the history of the school. Rufus King, I was on the first playoff team. First time we ever went to the playoffs. And we went to Cudahy. And then white people called me every kind of nigga in the world. And the referees were slandered against us. It was the most racist shit I've ever seen in my life. And that was 30 years ago, damn near. So it's no different. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. So I say that to say, even you brothers and sisters who have made it, quote unquote, who have elevated positions in which you now are able to earn a certain sum or a certain dividend. You know, one of the problems that I see in this community that you individuals are the ones who have refused to invest back where you came from. And this is the reason why this community suffers. Because you alpha, kappa, alpha, alpha ass. And you got 17,000 degrees and you got this great position. And you work hand in hand with the Democratic Party. Let me tell you something about Democrats. They've been in charge of Milwaukee for 45 years. And this shit has gotten progressively worse. I'm not saying it's time to elect a conservative. I'm saying it's time to inform yourself and be aware so we can do better.
Let me ask you, at some point, though, brother, does it get to a point where we're doing our children a disservice, right?
Yes.
To send them someplace where they're being called nigga, nigga, nigga.
We are.
Right. You know, because guess what? At the end of the day, your basketball program without us, it sucks.
Right.
Your football program without any of us, it sucks.
Your art department.
Your art, your music department without any of us, it sucks. Right. So listen, at some point or another, let's withdraw ourselves, right? Let's let them have their all white team and let's see how good they do when they come up against the HBCUs and so on and so forth, and we bust that ass, right?
Well, that's only if black athletes start going to HBCUs.
Well, that's for me, because I started out saying the show is solution based.
Right.
For me, that's a solution. Support your own. Don't be embarrassed to be with your people. Support your people the same way you do.
Yeah.
Bob and them.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
It all starts with us doing us.
And that's the answer. A lot of this stuff is real simple, but it's not simple as to how to get it, how to go about getting it. Like you have black people who can't stand black people, and there's a such thing called an unconscious bigot, right? And so there's a white person that don't realize that they're prejudiced, right? They can tell you, I have six black people that came in I have 4 black friends. The fact that you can count and you can repeat that, it already says that you're a bigot, but you're an unconscious bigot. Well, we have some unconscious black people that hate themselves and they don't understand it. Those are the ones that are stand up right away and say, "Nah, kill that nigga," right?
Kanye West,
Or like Kanye,
Smash or Pass, a 27-minute album, a conversion to Christianity. I wanted to talk to my people who are all about Christianity. Let me explain this to you. This show does not represent any kind of anti-Christianity stances at all, because I still wholeheartedly believe in the Trinity and
PK.
I still believe in God. You're right. I'm a PK.
PK.
I just believe that they lied to us and how they taught it to us. And I think that they gave us the wrong messages to keep us pacified.
Who had it right?
Because I think if they told us the real spirit of God and the real version of God, because it snuck in there where they said, well, God is a vengeful God and he made me in his own image. So if he's a vengeful God, there by the grace of God go I. So that means I'm vengeful too, to a certain degree, right? So that means I do not turn the other cheek. I do not accept subjugation. I do not accept slavery, oppression, degradation. I do not accept any kind of political agenda that you have that will not benefit my people. I don't accept any kind of narrative that you would write that will present us in a negative way. I do not accept the fact that you have tried to make us the poster children of this dysfunction. I am based on a whole different kind of understanding in which I believe we are the supreme people. I believe we are inherently gifted, therefore we are held back and oppressed intentionally. There has to be a systematic nature to what they do to us, because if there wasn't, then we would be free as a bird that flies out on stage, which would mean this world would be ours. So don't ever get to the point where you're so enlightened that you don't believe that there's an agenda against you if your skin has this in it, which is melanin and pigment. Don't you ever believe that there's not a room somewhere where they are conspiring against us.
Conspiracy theorists.
Right?
Hey.
Just be balanced enough to say, I understand these situations exist, but it won't stop me from fighting. It won't stop me from trying.
It should motivate you to fight. It should make you try harder.
It motivates me to go hard.
Absolutely.
So I do not take away those situations, and I will never tell any black person that you ain't in the position you in by design. But I will tell them this. Free will is the only thing you've ever gotten from anywhere. When it comes to the word of God, when it comes to the Constitution, when it comes to our laws, the only important thing that you will ever receive is free will, which means you make decisions and you suffer repercussions or benefits based on the decisions that you made. Either way it goes, you need to be ready to deal with it. That's the whole reality. It's not about me running down every media story that you've already heard anyways. And if I miss some, go to the People's News Network and catch up on it.
Please do. But I get that. But you know what? When a brother gets pulled over, I think he has the free will. I think his will is he wants to live.
And that's what he wants to do.
But I don't think he always gets that free will. Sometimes he gets, So I understand what you're saying, and there's certainly
the loss of life is random. It's not just police. People die. Well, little girl, she didn't get a chance to get pulled over.
It gets to a point where they have to admit, and they have, that if I'm not mistaken, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as on the list of what's killing our young black men, number 6 on the list was police killings.
Number 1, diabetes and heart disease.
Okay, which they're in control of that too. But for the sake of the argument,
we'll say that for Wednesday.
They had to. The numbers are undeniable when they have to admit that number 6 are police. So let's not pretend it doesn't exist. It does. The KKK got on blue, and we know it. It's been reports done on it. It's studies done on it. It's statistics that back it up. But now what? See, again, solution-based. We don't have an answer. We want to still march. Marching don't work anymore, people. Marching doesn't. What's the last march that was effective? It didn't happen in this decade.
Right.
They got marching down to the point where you protest and they have an area marked off for you, right? They have a fee for you to pay to do it. They're going to financially benefit from it. And then they'll tell you when to do it and what time to go home. That's not rebellion.
And at the same time, I would say to anybody that does participate in these movements, I'm with you too, because you, like it says, never fail to assemble yourself. It's important to get around like minds and try to network and build. So if that's the stage you've come into it at, by all means, go do that. I'm just saying, understand how effective what you do, what you're doing is,
or isn't,
right? Like, be able, don't get so wrapped up in the movement that you can't accept its limitations for where you're at. Expand on the limitations and make the movement better. And we talked about that because we had this case here now with Brother Vaughn, who's going through this with the feds, and people are, choosing sides and everything.
Surprised you talk about
that. Well, no, I asked a very important question. I said, first of all, I cheerlead for the brother because I will never wish the penitentiary on no black man. I don't give a shit who you are and what you've done. I wouldn't want to put you behind them walls unless you're a child molester or unless you are a wholesale murderer of our people, right?
Violent crime.
And I don't believe he's indicted for either one of these affairs. Right. I don't believe that's what's on his docket.
Violent crime, right.
But what I will say is this. The question we have to ask ourselves about black people is this. Even if he did say, well, I want to bomb police stations, then you have to decide which side of revolution you're on.
Who's to blame for the hate that hate made? It's not like they haven't bombed our communities.
No doubt.
So listen,
there's a bunch of my people who say that's cool with me.
Before you start calling him the devils, look, they bombed us quite a few times.
Right. And they didn't get indicted.
Okay.
They got off.
Right.
They did interviews.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
some of them had streets and airports named after them at the end of the day.
And the only thing I would say is if there was children involved in this plot at all, then shame the devil.
Now the thing that would make me mad, and I apologize because I had some more questions than answers. I was going to ask you, what stance does he take? Does he say, I'm innocent and they making this all up? I didn't have nothing to do with this. And if he did say that, do you believe him? I'm asking, there's no right or wrong answer.
Well, no, I think the stance, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you know more about this than myself, please correct me. I think the stance he took is like, this is all fabricated. This is all made up. They are trying to basically scapegoat me for the unrest in which, I was frustrated. I was active in the community, but I didn't do this.
So he denies having the bottles coming from his house because they got the DNA. Apparently
he denies the way they're going.
Brother, I'm not against you. I don't know enough about what you're doing or what you're saying. I'm asking questions.
No, I'm speaking from my understanding.
Yes, sir.
What he's saying is these are trumped-up charges in a kangaroo court because of my level of activism and the potential that I could actually help this community and affect change.
Okay, because if in fact it's true, and you were using hypothetically my child, right, to further your agenda, and you somehow talk my child into the understanding and believing what you were saying to the point where they could have gotten gunned down in the.
So then, would you say he should go to jail?
I have listen now. Now I don't view you as a black person. Now I view you as a nigga,
as an exploiter.
And you used you almost or try to allegedly try to use my child to do something like that, and I have a problem with that. Then I separate myself from you because
your children wasn't there.
Oh, and this is
your children.
And this is in their playbook, right? It's a long history of old white men, coming up with shit to send a lot of young white men off to die.
Right.
So if that's what you was doing with my kids. Then I got a problem with that.
But also there's a long history of the white man setting the black man up.
And lying. And saying he did a bunch of shit he didn't do.
So you can't automatically say.
This is my discrepancy. This is where I have divide.
And this is how we should feel.
Yes.
And we should watch how this happens. And we should take notes. And we should look at it. And we should also ask ourselves, where am I at in terms of this? How frustrated am I? Am I frustrated to the point where I feel like we should burn down a police station?
But let's not feel like, like this is the ultimate sin and like we are the devil's helpers or something because something burned down when you have to look at their playbook and they burn our shit down all the time. They burned us alive.
I believe it's called a Molotov cocktail, which is Russian, right?
Right. So like we didn't make this shit up. This ain't what we do normally. Like, so, understand.
I said that, brother.
What did you say? Perspective. Context
is always important.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And God bless that brother, man. I
hope
you don't do it. And I even said this. I hope you beat it. Because if you beat this shit, I'll vote for you. You beat this shit and run for mayor.
Run for something.
I'm voting for you.
Play the numbers. Do something.
I'm playing that shit too.
Real talk.
If he beat this, if he shows that the government, not the state of Wisconsin, not the city of Milwaukee, he shows that the United States government conspired against him because of his level of activism in the community and his ability to affect change. If he shows that they intentionally conspired against him and he beats them, I am riding with his brother until it's over.
My understanding, however strong or weak it may be,
95% conviction rate.
My understanding is that when they get to the point where you at right now, they're not really worried about what the scenario that you laid before us. So again, I wish you the best, brother.
Hey man, God bless you, man.
I'm not trying to bash or nothing.
Hey, on the real, that's our official statement on it.
Yeah.
God bless you, brother.
For sure, man.
Man, do you, man? Because it takes a lot of heart to step out here and just really put this community on your back. And this community is so troubled.
And the same community that you're putting on your back will stab you right in there,
and be stabbing you the whole time.
Real talk. So yeah, this ain't a good place, man. Milwaukee's not a good place for that. So, brother, man, again, positive energy, man. Nothing but.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Outlaw Radio on the Thursday night, man.
Yeah, it's Saturday, bro.
Man, beverage. Yeah. My shit's empty. I'm finna go refill it.
Well, I did that. I tried to do it on a slide. Some of y'all.
We got a new camera. It showed this shit. It showed.
Well, I ain't ashamed.
Man, much love and appreciation to people who support us and what we do. This is underground media. This is not Fox 6, and we don't have the same budget. And sometimes the show will cut off and it'll crash. But I'm a mad scientist with these cords, and I keep plugging shit in until I get the right one.
You do.
And we're going to keep doing that, right? Yeah. I'll put all 10 of my toes and all 10 of my fingers in this dam, wherever the leak's at, until they bring me some mortar.
But here's the thing. We got some things planned.
Like, a lot of stuff
it gets greater later.
Yeah.
Those of you that are bearing with us through, as we start on the ground level,
much love.
You can still be on board when we get to the top.
Shout out to my family.
That's
sometimes they tune in on a Thursday night. Sometimes they come in on a Saturday. The shows go crazy, and when they're archived, like we might have a few listeners on when it's live, but then I'll look 2 days later.
And they there, ain't they? Yeah, they slow but show. So
yeah,
I don't mind that at all.
Shout out to you.
Did you see that? Because I don't know if that's been going on the whole time. Right?
Well, it's still, that's a different thing, but I sound checked it, so YouTube is still active.
All right,
subscribe to the YouTube page, man.
Yeah, our YouTube numbers, we get a lot of y'all on.
Eventually, the YouTube will have this.
Okay.
So,
So you get to see me.
Well, they can see your ass already. That's why our views is low. Like, get this dude out of here. Like, no more bubbling dudes on this show, right? Don't even call me and ask me.
Listen, I know. Man. I see the followers. I read the comments.
I hope you don't.
That's not what's going down, right? You know what I'm saying?
You don't get to tell me how I'm going to tell the story.
Right.
We have two different versions. One from your house, one from mine.
You can have two versions if you want to.
I'm going to just tell
the truth.
Keep your head on the swivel. Watch yourself going through yellow lights, man. Be a square. Don't be no square. Figure out something, man. Don't just stand on one thing. If you get some enlightenment, understand that needs to be extended.
Yeah.
And extension means getting longer. And something that's very long becomes a bridge that covers a gap so people can transition and get through it. And that's what it's all about. So,
hey, I was wondering where you was going with that. I thought you were talking about me for a second.
I know you did. If your criticism of the black community outweighs your contribution,
then
you probably a cool.
Listen,
I'll see y'all Wednesday night.
Peace. Sometimes you got to take it back to the roots, brother. Two brothers and two mics.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. It just did some stupid stuff.
You said you did the soundtrack.
I did. It was still going. So I'm trying to get YouTube back so I can cut it off. Because we still on.
You probably need to cut it off or we said it wrong.
Well, we still on, so I have to cut it off.
YouTube. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. This is crazy. It wasn't bad. Good show, brother. You see how it's not necessary for us to have so much conflict. We can get along and it can still be a good show. I've been trying to tell you this for a long time. We still on.
Dirt. My shit's moving like it's on the landline. Just like, can I just stop the show? Right?
It's still moving.
Right. I don't know what this computer. It's always these computers have personalities, man.
Okay, Cam. I said something to you Thursday, man. You joked, you laughed at me, but I didn't start it yet, so it's still got a chance. Tell me when we are for real.
Right? I can't because the computer's moving like.
If they eavesdropping, they hear us.
This is.
Still, we should have said we should have had bear meat, man.
Bear meat didn't want to parse this.
You know, fuck with it no more.
Done. Okay, so YouTube, check us out, man. Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, go look at that.
I don't know what's going
Y'all
on.
get all
Right
the
now.
behind the scenes chatter and shit, right?
I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know why I'm doing this. I know what I'm gonna do.
I know what I got.
Damn, there we go.
Look, at all like you all this time. You still.
No, look how slow it's moving, yo. Like literally, it won't.
Man, if I didn't look this good, it would be terrible.
Oh, that's